Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sell More Book Show, episode 557. I'm Brian Cohen from Best Page Forward, joined by Chelle Honiker from Indie Author Magazine, from Author Nation, from so many cool things, the guru of author automation. How are you today?
I'm rocking a little bit of a cold,
Oh,
actually.
my
And I'm
goodness.
so excited to be here, Brian. Really excited. I think it's funny. I went all the way to Vegas, had no illness after talking to 1,300 people. I come home and my little granddaughter is a little
Oh, she got
hitman.
you.
She got me.
She
Little
got
petri
you.
dish. She got me. Wouldn't change
Yeah.
a thing, though.
Of course, of course. Well, I mean, I'm just so glad you're joining us. It was really funny when I was getting you scheduled. I was like, oh, Chelle's got to be on here. She's tapped into so much. I was like, hey, how about this week or this week? And you said, can't do this week. I'm kind of running the program at Author Nation that week.
Had a little bit of a week that
You,
week.
you were you
Couldn't
were a little
couldn't
busy.
couldn't find some time.
Yeah.
It was a busy week.
Yeah, I mean, even back we chatted in February or so, and you were getting ready, and it's amazing how much goes into these shows, taking it over,
Yeah.
making sure Joe goes everywhere he's supposed to go, all that stuff. I mean, how do you feel like expectations versus reality when you took the role of program director versus how it ended up after the event?
So I knew that it was going to be great. I
Yeah.
mean, no false modesty there. I did. I knew it was going to be great. I knew that we had the right team. We had a fantastic programming committee. I knew that Joe's vision was very, very aligned with how I felt about this industry and education in this industry. So I felt like we had all of the pieces going into it that were going to just be fantastic.
Yeah.
But I have to say, coming out of it, it wildly exceeded my expectations. I had so many gratifying moments where people came up to me and said, I this one thing was worth the price of admission. I learned this one thing that's going to change my whole business. I sat on this couch, which that's a whole other thing. These couches that Sue Solari set out as conversation pieces were like the hit of the show.
I heard about the couches. I did hear about the couches.
Couches. It's so strange. But, whatever works. I'm fine with that. But yeah, expectations far exceeded reality. I really, really, really was just thrilled that so many people got so much out of it. And we've already sold 500 tickets going into next year.
Oh,
With
that's a good feeling.
not a single person announced and not a keynote in sight yet. So
That's a
people
good feeling.
obviously felt like it was great.
Wonderful. Oh, awesome. Yeah, I got the FOMO watching from afar.
Yeah,
I
I have a
had
lot of
promised my wife and kiddo. I was like, I'll take this year off of Vegas even before you guys took over. So I was like,
you
man, but
You got a pass. You got a hall pass. I
no,
knew
I
that was
appreciate
going
that.
on. You and I talked about it in February, so
I
it
appreciate that.
wasn't a it was you get, like I said, you get a pass.
I'll take it. I'll take it. My one, this is your one. This is my one
Right.
pass.
Right. And that's
Um
it.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to get into the news with you this week, and we'll talk more about Author Nation over this week and next week. I'm just so grateful you're here today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. And so, quick ad read. We've got openings for our high level author programs like our 6-month Groundbreakers and Pathfinders programs and our author ad agency. The link is in our show notes if you are interested in applying, or just email me and say, that thing Brian said on the show, I'm interested, and we'll know what you mean. So, awesome. Let's go into the top news story of the week. Spotify for authors. After becoming the #2 audiobook seller, Spotify is now hoping to gain ground with authors too. Quote, Spotify for Authors is a new feature to help both authors and publishers better understand their audience on Spotify, reports Jane Friedman in the hot sheet. Spotify's new dashboard lets users see their listener demographics, such as gender, age, and even their podcast interests. In addition, authors can now customize their Spotify author pages, which are similar to Amazon's author profile pages. Spotify has also launched some marketing and promotion tools, such as promotional single-use codes that would allow non-subscribers to listen for free on Spotify. Author Katie Cross was one of the first authors to try the new dashboard and the first to be featured on the Spotify for Authors blog. Quote, "There are a lot of things to celebrate here," says Cross. "This shows a diversification and support for the author and audiobook community, which is something wonderful for readers and authors alike." End quote. When asked about her favorite features, Cross cited the demographic data available. Quote, "I can see where in the world my listeners are, which helps me bring more specific targeting for advertising my books in general." End quote. At launch, Spotify for Authors is available by invite and to authors with a publisher, but Spotify says availability will expand early next year. I mean, Chelle, this is interesting. I get a vibe like, okay, this is cool because we've rarely had control over audio related author stuff. There's like a very much a black box around it. But I'm also kind of like, yeah, some of these features are cool, but some of them, I mean, it's nice to know you sold a book in Burkina Faso, but it's also like, I don't know. What were your thoughts? Maybe your thoughts are different than mine.
So my thoughts are pretty much aligned with yours. I think the thing that I'm always interested in is that's great. How do I use it? Right.
Right,
That's great that I can see someone in Burkina Faso bought a book. How does that drive changes so that I can target more? How
right,
what does it do? Right.
right,
So because information in a vacuum does nothing.
right.
Um I'm it's early days, right? I'm still a little bit like, what is this actually going to do? The other part is I really do I listen to Spotify quite a bit, but I still for audiobooks jump back over to my tried and true favorites where I listen to audiobooks. And
Yeah,
so
it's hard to change behavior, right?
it is hard to change behaviors, and I also have a library already over there, so
Mhm.
it's going to be I'm excited. Anything new is exciting, but I'm interested to see how it's going to play out.
Right. Hot potato, a wisdom question here for you. So, do you think Spotify's new features would get Audible to make some changes because they're trying to keep up with the Joneses, or are they just going to be like, Psh, not worth getting the engineers in here?
I don't know that it's going to do anything in the short term. I know that they're always looking at ways to, improve their UX, their UI. I know they're always looking for ways to do that. So probably not in the short term. They're not going to do anything, but in the long term, maybe.
Right. Right. I know you've got a question here for me.
I do. Do you think the Spotify audiobook audience will be a good reflection of an author's audience in general, or will it be a separate demographic?
I'm intrigued by more data. I like to have more data. If you're selling a lot on Spotify, the data is probably more valuable than if you're selling getting a few downloads on Spotify. I mean, more data is always interesting, but it's like, unless there's a button that's like, now target this audience with an ad, it's
Exactly.
kind of hard to utilize it. Like, I remember going into the book scan data, I was just like, oh, this could be cool. I'm like, okay, what are my top three cities? And it's like New York, LA. I'm like, okay, big cities. And it's like San Antonio. I'm like, well, how would I use that? Am I going to like go to a conference in San Antonio because of
Mhm.
this? And it's just like, then I forgot about it and never really used it again. And
Yeah,
I could see this being the same deal.
I can see it being the same deal. I think you could, update your author page to have, boots and hats if you were trying to do that and kind of make it more aligned and brand related. But other than that, it's hard to say what it's going to do.
Yeah, get my Victor Wembanyama jersey over there. I'll be there. Awesome. Well, let's go into the lightning round here, Shell. As always, I brief my after they've agreed to do it. I always brief my co-hosts on doing a lightning sound before the lightning round.
Yeah.
So have at it.
Uh,
Ooh, nice. You might have been the most prepared person.
so I'm going to just say that wasn't a canned sound. I just make that sound whenever I choose
Yeah.
to.
Yep.
That's
No, I believe you. I believe you. I have no reason to doubt you. I love it. So, Shell, why are book conferences important for authors as they grow their careers? Because it's like you're putting out money, you're doing this thing. Um, maybe at first you're not selling a lot of books yet.
Sure.
Why go to one?
Yeah, I will start with a story. So, the entire trajectory of my career changed because of a conference.
Mm.
I had gone to Scotland, and
Mhm.
that's where I met Alice Briggs, my business partner and the co-founder of the magazine. It's where I met every initial writer of Indie Author Magazine. It's where we, it's the genesis of everything. There's a lot to be said for connecting with people in communities and online and Facebook groups and all sorts of things, but there's nothing that compares with soaking up the wisdom in the room and just meeting people face to face. There's nothing like it. And so I'm not saying that you're going to go and change the entire trajectory of your life and career by meeting somebody at a conference, but it's possible. It's very
Mhm.
possible. 5 years ago, I had no expectation of anything other than I wanted to write more books. I wanted to learn how to switch and make a pivot from trad to indie. And,
Mhm.
the rest is history, as they say. So there's nothing that compares with being in person at a conference. Nothing.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. You got a question for me?
I do. What are some do's and don'ts when it comes to attending an author conference?
I'm going to lead with a big don't. You don't have to go to everything.
Yes,
You don't have to go to everything. You don't have to overwhelm yourself, overload yourself, because then even the things that you needed to go to, you won't absorb it as well. So just don't go to everything. Do assess throughout. Like I felt bad after some conferences. I was like, oh, I needed to go to my room to recharge, but the conference went better because I did do that.
exactly. And as a person that has planned a large conference, I'm not offended by that. And we coach our speakers not to be offended if someone doesn't come to their session. There's reason why everything is recorded and you can absorb it later. And oftentimes you will absorb it better later. So yeah, I agree
Mm,
with that. I agree with that.
awesome. Good. Um, all right. Look, we love automation. We need more automation in our lives. I've seen um Quinn from my author ad agency team has been following you around lately because they've really wanted to do all the automation stuff that you've been talking about.
Yeah.
It's pretty clear that if you can automate a process, you don't have to do it anymore, so you save time. Why do you think authors avoid taking the time to learn automations to save them time and save them energy through platforms like Airtable?
Well, there's a lot to be said for task switching uh,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
resistance, right? There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot. If you have to learn some, like if you're already doing the thing, then learning something to automate it is probably a lot to ask.
Yeah.
But I will say that automation is probably what has allowed me, my career, my businesses to thrive, right? And I
Mm.
have a predisposition to automating everything. I would encourage people that if they're thinking about what to automate, start what I call a suck list. And it's all the things that suck that you don't want to do, and then figure out how to automate them, right? So look at the things that you don't like to do, and then figure out how you can not do them. That's my best piece of advice for people that are even thinking about it. But it's usually just, resistance. It's the one more thing. I don't want to have to
Yeah.
learn to do one more thing for sure.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. That totally
Yeah.
makes sense. All right, I'm ready for my question.
At what point does it make sense to pay people to set things up like automations or email autoresponders? That's a good question.
Oh, thank you. Two options here. So let's say you work a full-time job, you've got a little bit of money, and you're kind of starting your author career. It already makes sense. At that point, it already makes sense to get some help because you have one of these benefits. And I talk to a lot of coaching students, and I talk to some people who are even like, well, my husband makes full-time money or my wife makes full-time money. So I don't really need to like I don't really need to make more money with my stuff. And it's like, okay, that's fine. But are these tasks that you're doing, or do you enjoy them? If not, go ahead and make sure that you are as efficient as you possibly can be, because you want to you get the opportunity to do more of what you like.
Right.
Now, let's say you don't have that extra money stocked away. I would save some of your publishing money. I would not spend it all on covers, not spend it all on edits. I would save a little money for help,
Yeah.
because getting a PA, getting someone who can set a couple tasks up to make them easier for you, it can make a huge difference in your efficiency and in just your general enjoyment of the author world.
Exactly. Exactly. Because you're buying back your time, right? You get
Mm-hmm.
to do the thing that you love to do, and you get to choose how to spend your time a little bit more efficiently. I read The 4 Hour Work Week years and years ago,
Yep.
Tim Ferriss's
Yep.
book, and it revolutionized how I think about my time and how I think about what I want to do with my time. I've adopted that. It's become part of my DNA now, which I really, really love. And that is, every time I look at something that I'm going to do, a project that I'm going to start, or just something in general, I always have a number in mind of how many hours it's going to take. And is it more effective for me to buy that time back and give it to somebody else to do?
Yeah. Our time is worth more than $15 an hour.
It is, for sure. For sure.
We don't
It's why
always
I
believe
automate.
it, but
Yeah, it's why I automate so many things, and also why, even though I live alone, I still have someone that comes and cleans the house, because I want to be able to focus on the thing that I love to do, which is helping authors do the thing that they love to do. So it's not, uh vanity or anything else. It's just that I want to focus on the thing that I like to do, and I don't like to do that. I also don't like to go grocery shopping, so I don't. I have groceries delivered.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a benefit to outsourcing the things that you don't like to do.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with grocery delivery.
I am.
I tried to get out of it, and then it just pulled me back in.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
Godfather 3.
I haven't been in a grocery store in about 6 years, like
Mm,
a physical grocery store in about 6 years. And the other part of it too is that when you automate, or if you outsource those kinds of things, you actually end up saving money, because you don't have impulse purchases when you walk into
smart.
stores or do things. So
Smart.
I sound bougie, but really it's just because I'm just efficient.
Yeah, it's not bougie. It's pure efficiency. It's pure superstardom, we'll
Agreed.
say.
I'll
Yeah.
take it. I'll take
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Um last question of the lightning round. Who is your dream author to feature in the Indie Author magazine?
Oh my gosh, this is such a tough question, because I feel like we've had 44 amazing authors on the cover
Mhm.
already. So
Mhm.
I don't know that I have a dream author per se. I feel like I get to meet and talk to so many that I wouldn't want to single one person out. So I'm gonna kick that question down the road a little bit,
I
Brian. Sorry
like that.
about that.
No, I think, you know, that is a tough spot we put you in with that one.
It's a tough
But
spot, but only because, we don't choose cover subjects based on a certain criteria, financial or
yep.
anything else. We choose them, and it's not just me. We choose them for the compelling story, how they can
Mhm.
inspire, what they have to teach other people. So it's kind of we don't want to set it up as a competition. We just want to create this ecosystem of inspiration.
Mhm. After we finish this one, I'm going to give you guys a suggestion.
Okay.
So we'll
Okay.
we'll talk. I'm sure you
We
get
love
plenty
that.
of them. But
All
yeah.
right. Well,
Um
to be fair, I have 128 people that are on the list right now, so it's real.
that's
It's
amazing.
tough. It's tough. It's
I love
tough.
it. That's great. Um we need to come up collectively with a question of the week, what we want to ask folks. It could even be that question, honestly. I we could talk about the automation, we could talk about Spotify. What do you want, Shell? I often defer to the guest here. What do
Yeah,
you want to find out from our listeners?
I would love to find out who has an inspirational story or something just completely amazing that they would like to see us cover in the magazine.
Okay. So what is an inspirational story you've heard or experienced
Yes, for
in the
sure.
author world. We can ask that. And definitely, well, if they post there and it seems great, I'll send them to you, Chelle.
I would love
Um,
it. We're
so,
always looking for great content for the magazine.
yay, you
It's
can answer the question of the week at the Sell More Book Show After Party Facebook group or sellmorebookshow.com. Sorry, I kind of cut you off there.
Oh no, that was it. I was just gonna say we love to. It's the magazine is for indies by indies. So tell us.
I love it. Where can people find this magazine, Chelle?
My goodness, I think the best place is indieauthormagazine.com.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And if
Yeah,
folks are wanting to snatch up the 501st ticket to Author Nation, where should they go?
they should go to authornation.live.
AuthorNation.live.
It's
Love it.
easy,
Easy
easy.
peasy. Awesome, Shell. Well, we did this once. We'll do another one for next week. And I really appreciate you being here today.
I'm thrilled to be here, Brian. Thanks so much.
Of course. And you can go check out everything with the Indie Author Magazine, everything with Author Nation at the links mentioned. Remember, you can apply for my company's big 6-month group coaching programs. Just go to the link over at sellmorebookshow.com. But for Chelle, I'm Brian. Have a great week of book selling, and we will talk to you next week for episode 558. Bye.
Bye.